Hello. Thanks again for watching. Elise makes a bunch of videos. I hope you enjoyed my last few videos on full-time travel and my quote of the day that was mainly about reflection, saving money, and that sort of thing. My video for today is about momentum versus patience, which I mentioned in those videos. Also sort of relates to the quote of the day, which is about allowing time for integration and sort of doing nothing to give yourself space. And that's sort of the patient side of that, so I'll just talk about that bit. So for me, as I've maybe mentioned in the past, patience isn't my strong point with a lot of things, but I do think it is necessary, and I think that the sort of yin and yang aspect of that is that you don't want to be like too patient, meaning that you're like basically not doing anything at all. It's sort of a juxtaposition between momentum and patience, I think. Um, it's always good to stop for a bit and take a moment to reflect and just reset, especially in terms of like full-time travel for me or just life in general. Yeah, so I think it's just one of those sort of life forces things you have to go back and forth with. It's sort of like saving money, spending money, like, um, yeah. So I think with the side with patience and allowing time for integration and reflection, it's just really a good way to give yourself the space to absorb experiences, um, and change your environment, um, or if you've just changed your environment to sort of settle in, and gives you a place in order to allow for your mind to sort of subconsciously and then consciously decide what's working, what's not working, and what you really want to do um, in the upcoming months or years or lifetime. Because I think when you're constantly striving for things and in the middle of stuff, it's sometimes difficult to really reflect on if you're going in the right direction. It's sort of like sharpening the saw. I think it was Stephen Covey that talked about that, where it's like, if you're trying to cut down a tree with a dull saw, some people might say, they don't have time to stop to sharpen the saw because they've got to cut this tree down. But if you stop to sharpen the saw, then it actually makes the tree cutting much better and more efficient. So I think that's how like patience and taking time to reflect really works with life. Um, Even though it seems like you're maybe wasting time or holding off on things, sometimes it's better in the long run because then you really can have the space to sort of relax and focus on other things and really reevaluate everything as a whole. So yeah, that's the patient side of that. I think on the other end is momentum. So I'm sort of in an in-between phase for myself in terms of like travel life. Um, I've just moved back to Russell from Tuticaca, where I was originally planning to stay a lot longer, but then decided that maybe it wouldn't work the way that I thought it was going to. So I've decided to come back here to Russell for various reasons. Coming back to my old job, so I will be getting a bit more of an income than I was in Tuticaca, and I've already done some scuba diving with Paihia Dive, which is just across the water. They don't really need anyone at the moment. I think New Zealand in general is having a bit of a slower tourism year than they did last summer. But it may pick up, I would probably guess, in January and February, in terms of international tourism especially. So we're going to see how that plays out. Hopefully I can get some sort of volunteer diving with Pahia Dive in January, because February I will be pretty busy and possibly not in the area. So for the moment, I'm really taking the time to settle in, work on some of my goals in terms of getting my Australian visa application at least mostly done, and then probably will go down to Auckland in the end of January, if not the beginning of February, to do the medical bit. And so that's the one goal that I'm looking at, and keeping that in mind to keep my momentum going in terms of my sort of longer term goals, in terms of like a year from now. Also just sort of thinking about what I want to do with the people that are coming to visit in a few months, and also if I want to do a mini trip before and possibly between that. What else? I have to get my car warrant to fitness, which is like a sort of safety requirement thing in New Zealand. I need to get that done on the 25th of February, I believe, is the deadline for that. So it's all happening, and I'm just making sure to keep everything in mind and sort of keeping the momentum going in terms of mentally sort of keeping my eye on the goals. There are several things obviously happening, as you can hear. But also I'm definitely practicing some patience here because I will be working, particularly next week. Over the holidays, I think it's Boxing Day, which I think is a Thursday, and then I'll be working 7 days straight, sort of 11 to close with a break in the middle, which means it's sort of going to be a 13-hour shift for 7 days straight, with maybe like an hour and a half break somewhere in the middle of that. So it's going to be pretty long days, all sort of back to back, and then up until the 1st, and then I'll have the 2nd off. I might do a bit of a job in Whangarei for 3 days with one of my old jobs from Kerry, as well as I got contacted from a boat that's looking for 2 crew members in the next season. So New Zealand winter, probably leaving in May or June, I would imagine. It depends on the weather usually. So I'm going to hopefully meet with them at some point. And I might try to coordinate that with the job in Whangarei, because they're based in the town basin in Whangarei at the moment. So that's all what's happening with me. So it's a bit of a vlog slash content video. Sorry, I sort of meant for it to be straight content, and then it just turned into me talking about my life. But yeah, I guess as an example, I think that right now it's definitely a balance between patience and momentum. I'm sort of leaning on patience a bit more just because I'm not actually moving fully in action with a lot of the things. I'm just sort of like leading up and setting myself up for the things in the future that are happening in the next weeks and months. So that's the momentum side, in terms of getting ready for all those things. And with the patience side, just really trying to be grateful and focus on health and gratitude every day, as well as mindset. It's really nice to have Wi-Fi internet again, so I've been watching a lot more videos from the Law of Attraction channel, as well as a few others. As I mentioned in my last few content sort of videos, you can find some more sort of motivational stuff in my playlist, Use at Your Own Risk. So I'll have a link to that playlist in the description of this video if you haven't already checked it out. It'll be there. And if you have any suggestions of similar type videos, you can always comment on this video or send me a direct message And if you haven't already, I'm also on Instagram. Elise takes a bunch of pics. So just send a request to follow me, and maybe send me a message that says that you know me from my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Because it is like a private account. But I will definitely accept if I know that you're a subscriber, so go ahead and do that if you're interested. It's mainly just photos from my life. I've got a lot of posts. So yeah, that's the video for today. Momentum and patience, I think they're both very important things. Definitely something that you need to sort of balance and use both equally. I think momentum and patience, both of them are something that have to be constant, but they sort of ebb and flow back and forth depending on how your life season is going at the moment. So something to keep in mind, something that I've been thinking about recently. And yeah, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, obviously. Thanks again for watching, and have yourself a great day. Peace!